What up, everybody? Welcome to the Grit and Grind Show, brought to you by the Off the Bench podcast. Today, we got a good one. We're talking to Ryan DeMattie of the Orlando Aces, an all-star, might I add, of the 2024 season. So we're going to talk to him about his journey through fitness, but we're going to recap the 2024 season and see what he's got planned for 2025. I think a 600-pound back squat's probably going to be on the agenda. We were talking about it off air, and I think he's going to hit it if he hasn't already. But with that, let me plug some sponsors and get the bills paid around here so the lights stay on. Chinook Seedery, whether you're on the field or in the boardroom signing deals, Chinook helps you get the job done. 8 flavors, mild to wild. Check them out wherever you pick up your sunflower seeds. Memphis City Design, get your brands, gear, logos on everything from shoes to underoos. Get your in off the bench gear while supplies last. It's cold outside. We got those 50% polyester, 50% cotton, pillowy, comfortable, probably the best hoodies in the game, most reasonably priced. You can get your team colors, whoever you follow. If it's the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, we got colors for you. If it's Oklahoma, we got colors for you. If it's Ole Miss, Memphis, Tennessee, you name it, we got the right colors for you. So go by Memphis City, pick it up. Relief Chiropractic, Dr. Vic Robinson. He's got the magic hands. I've been telling everybody. He is rejuvenating people and adding gears to their lives. I'm telling you, go in, do a consult, and I promise you, you won't be disappointed because he will help you feel better. And finally, Old Dominic Distillery. Experience 150 years of tradition in the heart of downtown Memphis. From bourbon to vodka, whiskey to gin, Old Dominic's got you covered. It's cold outside. You need that bottle of bourbon to keep you warm? They got you covered. A nice bottle of Tennessee whiskey, no problem. They got you. So stop in for a tour or to pick up your favorite bottle. And with that, the bills have been paid. I can keep the lights on for another couple days. With that, let's bring into the fold with the biggest interview in podcasting this week, Orlando Aces all-star, Ryan DeMattie. Ryan, what's up, brother? How we doing, man?
Oh, not much, man. Trying to make it through this cold weather that we got that's hitting us right now. So
I hear you, bro. Where are you at right now? Where do you live?
So I'm located in central Louisiana, a town called Alexandria. We're literally smack dab in the middle of the state. But yeah, like I said, that's where it's been home for me for about the last 10 years. And then I'm born and raised in Louisiana.
Oh, Louisiana boy. We cover on our other podcasts, we cover a lot of college baseball, and my host, one of the other co-hosts, our producer, he is a huge LSU fan. His daughter goes there, and he's there basically every weekend watching football, but we cover a lot of college baseball. So I'm sure you're well versed in the goings of LSU and the athletic department there.
They churn out some athletes. They churn out some studs.
I mean, they were the DBU for a while, defensive backs, and now it's just like if you're a receiver and you want to be the greatest receiver of all time, you just go to LSU.
Absolutely.
That's it.
I mean, that gymnastics, you look at gymnastics, they've got some of the best gymnastics teams. Baseball too. I know they've got a couple national championships in the last couple of years. So yeah, they know how to make the athletes, and they know how to make those athletes good.
Oh yeah. I mean, when you look back at I don't want to harp on LSU, but you talk about guys like Paul Skeens, who just came off a championship season with LSU and now is the rookie of the year in the MLB. That's wild. You talk about the gymnastics squad who, I mean, they just won a national championship last year and have every reason to believe that they can run it back and repeat this year. And then you talk about football, and you probably have, with Joe Burrow, one of the greatest college football teams of all time at LSU.
Oh,
when
absolutely.
He was there.
100%.
So a lot of lineage over the past few years coming out of LSU. But let's get to you, man. Obviously, you're a Louisiana guy. When do you start getting into fitness? Is it through sport as a kid growing up, and it just kind of, that's the byproduct of playing sports, you got to be in the weight room, or was it something totally separate that got you into fitness?
So for me getting into fitness really started with I was a really chubby kid. Early on, middle school, I had a really bad habit of, you get off the bus, you go home, you do your homework, and then, enjoy watching some TV, right? Enjoy watching some cartoons in the afternoon, and what goes better than that than just a little snack, and that quickly turned into a habit. And I realized that I was like, man, I want to be able to play sports, and you need to go play at recess, and you're lagging behind, or you're the last guy picked for the team. And I was like, you know what, this ain't for me. I don't like this. So that's kind of what started it, and then definitely got accelerated by a million times as sports became a more prominent thing in my life, and then eventually just kind of you fall in love with the grind, you fall in love with the process of going to workouts every day, especially when you start seeing that hard work pay off. So that was kind of the starting of it, and then the perfect storm that culminated into what it is now.
Yeah, man, it's I feel you. Like, fat kid problems, man, early on. Like,
Yep.
I feel you, dude. I played, like, here's the thing, man. I played football, baseball, basketball my entire life, but just as a kid, like from the age of like 5 until I got
Mm-hmm.
basically to high school, I was just a fat kid, and I ate, and I probably didn't eat that great just because when you're poor, you don't have the availability of the Whole Foods right down the road
No,
to
man,
and you like
bags
you
of Doritos and
I'm
whatever you
telling
can
you,
get your hands on. Yeah, it's
the cheapest, easiest, most convenient route was like and in my house, you don't get to say, you don't get to complain about what's put on that table. You eat it
right.
and you shut the hell up and
Mm-hmm.
and carry on your day. But obviously, with sport, as you get deeper into it, you see, all right, if I'm going to make this a reality, if I'm going to move this any forward, like fitness or at least weights and conditioning has to play a part of it. And you're right, when you see other people doing things that you can do, if you make a few changes and commit a different way, then that's what you want to do.
Right.
What sports were you into?
So in high school, I was football. I did track and field, where I think I did shot put, javelin, and then I did powerlifting as well. So those were high
Nice.
school, and then in college, I did just football in college.
I'm thankful. I say thankful, but I wish that they would have had like some type of powerlifting or weightlifting team in my high school, because
Right.
I'm kind of thankful they didn't, because I would have fell into that, and I think I wouldn't have played baseball or been as good at baseball that as I was, or football, and I would have put a lot more energy and effort into that, because I love working out. I love the weights. I
Mhm.
love running. I love it all. Like, I say I love running. I have a love-hate relationship with running, but
Same,
like,
same.
anytime you get a chance to work out, whatever capacity that is, it's one of the few moments where you feel like, once you're done, you're like, even on your worst day, you feel like you accomplished something.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
s and so, with all of that in your journey, you finally, where are you at currently? Are you in a position where you're still striving to compete to be the best at something, or are you just in the gym because it's what you love to do and you'll see what numbers you put up there, but it's really not like this super important thing that you're working towards?
I would say probably before I would say the last 2-3 years with grid, I was more of the latter, where I was just I enjoyed going to the gym. I enjoyed what it did for me. I enjoyed the things that it did for me in terms from like the mental side of it, of being able to have a bad day and go to the gym. Now it helps that I work in the gym industry, so work is also the best place that I enjoy being. That it's like I said, it's nice in that fact, because you're not having to have that same experience where somebody who maybe is an accountant but also likes going to the gym. You got to make that drive to the gym on a day where you don't have it. Whereas you just, all right, cool, finished with work, let me go hit a quick workout. So it was probably that, and then now with grid, obviously, you're talking about just hyper competitive people, just because the level, not only the level of competition between athletes, but the level of competition um, between the teams, and that's kind of being built and grown and increased on every year with the grid league. So definitely, I would say now it's a competition based one, where I know that, like, hey, I know there's other people out there they're getting better, they're getting faster, they're getting stronger, and it's a different gear. than just being kind of competitive with yourself of, hey, last time I maxed out, I did this. Let me go get it. Let me go try for 5 more pounds this time. So,
Yeah, it's I haven't asked. I've talked to a bunch of athletes. I haven't even asked them, and now I guess is the time to start asking. Is you know when you do grid, now that it's the off season, are you worried or not worried, but when your training starts back, are you focused on, oh shit, there could be new people out here trying to take my spot? Or you're like, no, I know what I'm good at. I know that I can perform. And so I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because it's working, but I'm not going to think too much about who's out there, who's, trying to take a spot.
it's probably a bit of both. I mean, just being conscious of, who's in the field, because I mean, every year, at least since I've been in the league, every year, there's a new rookie that's coming in that is making splashes and making waves because of what they can do. And even you look at some of the people who have been doing it for several years, they've continued to improve and make strides, in their off season. So I think it's a bit of both. It's, keeping an eye out on like the other level of competition. You try not to do it too much, just because that's a rabbit hole that you can spiral down quickly in terms of, you get lost in the sauce with, oh, well, so and so is doing this weight and that weight, and you got to remember to, take it with a grain of salt that, hey, you're seeing the highlight reels, you're seeing the, hey, I hadn't been able to hit this number for 5 weeks, and I just happened to get it one day, and the camera was rolling, and I'm going to share it with everybody. So you got to remember, take that with a grain of salt. But I mean, hell no. At the same time, I'm like, I know what I'm good at. I know the things that I'm not good at. I think having a very good understanding of where my strengths and weaknesses are, and working on weaknesses, getting better at certain, you know, areas of, I guess, skills that I'm not so competent in, getting better there to provide more value for the team, but also making sure that, hey, we're still doing the foundational stuff that got us here, that allows us to, be strong, pick up stuff that's heavy and move it fast. So yeah, I would say it's a bit of both of, kind of knowing where your competition's at so that you can continue to raise the bar, and then kind of having high standards for yourself, and knowing what your game plan is, and having faith that the game plan that you've got put in place for yourself is one that's going to, elicit the goal that you want.
Yeah, a lot of the coaches that and owners that I've talked to, they talk about depth of roster. And then when I think about depth, I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? And they're like, well, it's not necessarily we need 5 strength specialists. It's we need athletes that are strong but can also do these other things as well. It's more than just the strength part. And I think, to kind of hit on what you're talking about is, your evolution in this sport, you're going to continue to be strong. You're going to continue to be the guy that's that strength specialist. But I mean, if you can climb a rope and be really good at it, why not?
Right.
If you can do some chest to bar pull-ups with a med ball, why not? Just being able to add that type of depth, because if anybody goes down, like, then it's like, well, shit, like we're in, especially if there's an injury in the middle of a match. Now you're
Yeah.
talking about like on the fly, you're having to figure it out. And if we know Ryan can do those different skills, then it makes that decision a lot easier and it adds a lot more value to you being on that team, which I think at the end of the day, if you can add value, like that's the biggest thing that you could do to secure a spot.
Oh yeah.
Um,
100%. I mean, yeah. Anybody that, anytime you can, and I think that's regardless of sport, anytime you can add value or be like, hey man, I'm a punter, but I can also throw the football really well. It's like, hey, perfect. Now we can do sneak punts and have you throwing, long balls down the sideline to, be able to pick up stuff. So yeah, anytime you can add value there, it's a must. And you do have those, there's been several instances, throughout the last 2 years where, you get a text a couple weeks out from one of your coaches that's like, hey, can you try this out? Something that's definitely that you've never really tried out before. They're like, hey, can you test this out? And you're like, oh, okay, all right. And sometimes you got to be honest with them. But sometimes it's also, having a little bit of confidence in yourself of like, hey, I'm athletic enough. I've got enough basic strength. I've got enough confidence in myself. I can go get this done. And I have enough love for my team that I know I'm not going to fail them. I'm going to make sure that I give it everything I got so we can get this done.
Right. Now, with you, how long have you been doing grit?
So I just finished up my second year. So we'll be moving into the third year now. And yeah, I got started. I really hadn't, honestly, I hadn't heard of grit until one of my friends, my buddy, Nate Jansen, who was on the Aces with us. I didn't really hear too much about it. I feel like I had probably seen little flash clips of it just scrolling through different social media. You see this high flying, you're like, oh, what's that? It's catchy. And I
Yep.
think that's the appeal of grid is you can literally see a 3-second clip and be like, oh, is that a burpee and a backflip? Are they upside down on rings right now? And you're like, okay, I need to go check that out.
That's the beauty of reels these days, is that like you can give quick snippets that spark interest, and boom, like,
Absolutely.
you get a following just based on 3-second clips that are, captivating to whoever it is that you're targeting to. But entering your third year, I would say at this point you're becoming a veteran of the sport, a
Yes.
veteran of your position. Now, what did you know about grid? I mean, obviously, were you the type of person that once you found out about it, you go and you research the evolution from the early days all the way through the Florida Grid League up until what it is currently? Or did you just go, all right, whatever it is, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hop in wherever we're at now and see where this league goes?
I definitely didn't do like a deep dive. Um, in meeting with the first couple of times that I met with Taylor, she was very transparent about the league and where it started with, and what and how, and she kind of made it she made it very clear, like, hey, this is what it started as. So she gave me the rundown of the MPGL, or I think that's what it's called. And she kind of told me, gave me a quick brief overview of what that history is like, and then explained what at the time what the FGL was, and explained to me like, hey, it's the same thing. It's just that not such a broad take where it's something that fizzles out after 2 years. This is something that has started small, and it's built out, and it's been sustained, and it's continued growth. And she reassured me that, like, hey, if you're investing time in this, it's not something that is you're going to invest a whole year of and really come to love and want to be passionate about it, and then it's going to fold. So she made sure to do her due diligence there when she was bringing me on, and then I did my own kind of history research into it, just seeing who the teams were, what the kind of the history was since 2017 when it started. And so that was kind of, I guess that was the most research that I did. And then after meeting with her and kind of, talking with her and Terry and the coaches, and, meeting with some of the other players, we did Zoom calls together just to kind of talk to the captains so they could get a vibe, feel of who they were bringing on. I was like, nope, I'm ready. I was like, you guys got me. I'm ready to strap up, and I'll run through a wall for you. Just because of, the way they made you feel, the way they talked, not only about the grid, but the way they talked about teammates, the way they talked about what we were doing, and why we're going out there and doing it. So yeah, no, it was, I did a little bit of research, but they definitely sold me on it.
Well, they gave you the right information. I mean, from the MPGL to a smaller regional based Florida Grid League of teams all composed in Florida, and now to where it is now, the United Grid League with teams in Atlanta and now an expansion team in Houston. When you look at that kind of growth, you got to be excited about where the league's going, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The just the fact that, I mean, you look at any kind of major, company that is in that kind of transitional period of where it's like, hey, we're going from a regional to a nationwide one. Most places it's the first 2 years, it's like, oh, we had a little bit of growth, but I mean, you're talking, you're growing a team so far every year, possibly two, within 3 within 2 years. So I mean, that's seeing that kind of expansion it's phenomenal, but it's at the same time, I'm not surprised by it, just considering the fact of how many people that we already have that are doing it that are from out of state. Like
Right.
my first year in 2023, yeah, in 2023, it was myself who was from Louisiana. We had At the time, David Blatt was on our team. I know you had him on here recently.
Yeah.
He's a California guy. We had a guy, Christian Alvarez Diaz, who was a bodyweight specialist from Colombia. He was a guy who had spent several years waiting to get a visa so that he could get into the U.S. so he could be on a team. So, I mean, the draw is there. People want to watch it. Anytime I tell my friends about it, I'm like, hey, man, if you want to check it out, check it out. And, a couple of days later, I'm sitting there, just not, out of the blue, I get a text, dude, this stuff is awesome. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, oh, I'm watching. He's like, dude, I'm watching right now. I got a notification on my heart rate monitor that my heart rate was like over 100 beats per minute. And I'm just sitting here. And
that's just watching.
It's exhilarating stuff to watch. It is the most viewer friendly, viewer enticing kind of action packed team fitness sport that you can imagine.
Yeah, it's I think I mentioned this yesterday to Fico Gomez, the Sharks coach and owner. I said the beauty of this sport is it's unlike any other. Yeah, it has some components that of other sports have, but there's not many sports, if any, that you have male and females working together.
Yes, right.
To on the same team against male and females, but also you have a male from one team going against a female from another team and vice versa. Like you just don't see that. And to be honest, it's very equitable as far as like the work that's being asked in each of those races. I mean, you could have a ringer point race that just like you get the right people out there that are awesome at those particular movements, and they just crush. And I've seen guys just get demolished and demoralized by females. And
absolutely,
I look at the strength specialist on both sides, but I'm blown away at the female side because those ladies are doing things that I can't do, and that's motivating, but it's also demoralizing too. But
that's usually one of the first things, and especially like my guy friends that I tell about it. That's usually the first thing, like, dude, the girls are some dogs, and I'm like, yes, they are. I was like, they are absolutely incredible athletes in terms of not only the skill levels that they have, but the strength levels they have. It's my greatest achievement ever that I'll consider is I got to beat Taylor. I got to beat Taylor Stallings in the fourth quadrant of a mirror race, and that's going to be my lifetime accomplishment that I'm going to hold on.
If you can beat her in anything that has a strength component to it, you need to write that day down. You need to videotape it, and you need to just cherish that because that's not something that happens all the time.
No, not at all.
I was talking to Jasmine Simpson, and she basically said, she loves to just demoralize people out there, and like she demoralized me because I was going through her stats as far as her numbers, and like her front squat higher than mine, her snatch higher than mine, her back squat higher than mine, clean and jerk higher than mine. Like I'm just like, can you sprinkle a little bit of that on over here? Can you bottle that up and let me have some of that, please?
Absolutely.
But she puts in the work, and the same with you. With the Aces, take me back. Obviously, in your first season with the Aces, you guys go undefeated and you win the entire thing. What is it like? Or at the beginning of that season, was that even a thought in your head that that's a possibility, or were you so new to the sport where you're just like, let me figure this out, and if we win, great. But I want to learn like how we are supposed to roll through this thing.
Yeah. So like going in my rookie year, the year before my rookie year, so this would have been 2022. They were in a conference championship. So they were in the thick of it, right? Falling. I think they fell a race or two short against was it the Lions or the Wild? I'm not certain which team it was, but they were in the thick of it, and they had and they felt that they had the team to do it, and they just didn't capitalize on a couple of things. So going into that year, coming into it, everybody, that was the focus. And one of the biggest blessings that I had was coming into a team full of veterans who are confident, who have we've got, we've got our captain Alex. He's been with the Aces since they started. We've got Darren Lasso, who's a 7-year veteran who's been with them pretty much every year since they started. I think aside from the first year, we've got multiple people, other veterans who are 5 years deep with the same team. So when you have a core group of those players, those, it's like a freshman walking into a star freshman walking into a baseball locker room full of, seniors, and they're like, hey man, you go do your thing. Like, we know what to do. We know how to we know how the matches need to be run. We know how the transitions need to be go. You just focus on going out there and doing the one thing, we tell you to do. So that was a huge blessing for me. And I think that did, not having to try and play catch up so much, because you had people to guide you, to literally tell you, hey, stand here. Hey, go now. Hey, tag out with this person. It helped not put so much pressure on you, on me at least, and be able to really enjoy and live in the moment and be successful. And I think that in turn kind of helped with the process of learning, how the matches roll, how the league, how the system works, how the, game is played essentially back and forth, because it's a chess game out there.
Yeah.
You're using physical pieces, but it's understanding, okay, hey, they've used this person in this race, and they're going to have their strength is this. So these races, they're going to be benefited here. Going into my third year now, I feel like I'll have a lot better control on that, and ability to see the field. If you were talking as a running back or a quarterback,
Right.
you have to see the field, see things develop in front of you, and having that group of veterans there to really take the pressure off of me as a rookie, especially coming in and being a rookie, where it was like they told me straight out the gate, hey, we're gonna work you. We're gonna work you. We're gonna see.
Get ready.
Absolutely.
Get ready.
There was, it was no surprise. They told me straight up, hey, your first match, eat your Wheaties, boy, come ready. And they definitely weren't joking, and that was an awakening for me. That first match was rough, but it was that necessary kind of punch to the gut that was like a wake up call. Like, oh, okay, hey, this is next level. You can do this, but we're gonna have to come back and be a little bit more dialed in, be a little bit more focused, so that we can continue to succeed and be able to hang in there and make it through matches.
Yeah. So when you guys win it all, obviously there's elation on your part, but you celebrate it, you appreciate it, you re-sign, for the 2024 season with the Aces.
Mhm.
And what is the like, is there pressure now? So you go from being in the conference championship to winning it all now last season. Like, is there any pressure to like repeat that?
I mean, anytime you win, I feel like you could ask anybody who's ever won a championship. Anytime you win, there's inherent pressure. That's a known thing.
Yeah.
You got the target on your back. You wear the crown, and heavy is the crown who wears it. So we knew we were going to get everybody shot. I don't think we necessarily felt the pressure of like, we have to go out there and be perfect. We made getting to be 6-0 and going through that year undefeated wasn't without stumbles, wasn't without falters. I think, but the best thing that we did was, rather than get tripped up and continue to get tripped up on the little stumbles and falters, we were like, hey, it's happened. We'll learn from it, but we're going to continue to move forward at this point in time, because we always talk about being 0-0 at the end of every match. It doesn't matter if you're headed into the sprint relay with a 10-point advantage at 0-0, right?
Yeah.
You still want to win every single match. And that's the mentality that, is preached to us from starting with the coaches, working down through the players, and vice versa, right back up the line. So whether it's a player making a mistake or a miscount by a coach or whoever it is, hey, we're good. We're 0-0. We're moving past it. Fresh start. Let's get get the eyes back on the focus. So, yeah, I don't think there was pressure to be perfect. We knew that we were going to get everybody's best shot, and it was like, okay, let's make sure that we're on our P's and Q's, because we know, and we've got the body of work that shows that when we're dialed in, and everybody's focused and nobody's worried about any kind of, this, that, this rep, that rep, we can't be stopped. And that was, there was proof of that in 2022 or 2023. So, yeah, going into this new year, I don't think there was a bunch of pressure other than just expectations that we've set unto ourselves.
Yeah, and I think you said it. I mean, as the defending champion, the target's on your back. You're gonna get
Right.
everybody's best shot, and especially with the success you guys have had over the past few seasons, like that people aren't going to take you lightly. They're going to believe that you guys are super strong again. You're well coached. Your ownership is great. The people like playing, there. And so when you combine all that, other teams know that and they see that and they're like, oh shit, like
Yeah.
we got to be we got to be locked in here if we're going to compete and have a chance to win.
Right.
So 2024 season, take me through it. Start to finish, or start of the season to, we'll say Vegas, and we'll talk Vegas separately. But
Vegas. Okay.
um the start of the season, let's go there. How was the start of the season? Obviously, you guys, was it injury? Was it what was the issues in, because I know that you guys had some hiccups in that regular season,
Yeah.
getting yourself to a point of being in contention for a playoff spot. But like, what was going on during the season that kind of was the roadblock, so to speak?
I mean, honestly, the biggest roadblock for us was just kind of getting over. We definitely we had a stumble out of the gate in a loss to the Sharks, a loss that was definitely it was a good match. I feel like it would have been, had we not made so many mistakes, I feel like it would have been a lot closer. And kudos to the Sharks. They did what good teams do, and they capitalized off of other teams' mistakes. So yeah, definitely stumbled out. And then the real struggle for us after that was just getting back up the points ladder. Starting off like that with, I think it was like an 8 or 9 point loss that we had. That's a huge, especially when there's only 4 opportunities, or I guess 3 opportunities after that to make up that ground. That's a huge hole to dig yourself out of. But I think, after that first match, that was probably the aside from, the normal wear and tear of like, oh, hey, hips a little tight, shoulders a little stiff, not things that are, definitely correctable. Give me a couple of days, let me get the shoulder loosened up. But outside of that, I can't think of too many other things, at least not from team wise, that we had after that first match that kind of held us back, because we continued to gain, I feel like, confidence and steam and momentum as we moved through the season. It was just that first match, like I said, stumbled, made some mistakes. But we did so with a specific intention in mind. The great thing with having such a deep roster like we do is it gives us the ability to be able to put our rookies out there and let them kind of learn through trial by combat, essentially. We're obviously, Taylor and Terry are an amazing coaching combo, and they're not going to put anybody anywhere that they don't think that they have the ability to succeed. But giving rookies opportunities in multiple races. Jasmine, I mean, they worked her good in that first
Yeah.
match, and she showed what she was. We knew she was from the moment she joined the team. Was, hey, I pulled a hamstring. Well, wrap this thing up and let's go. We're not done yet. She strapped up, she got back to it, and she finished the match. You look at like Taylor Sturgis. He had a really rough fall on a mirror with a back squat, shook back, and understood that he still had a couple pieces to play in the match, and capitalized and did what he could to make amends for that and help put us in positions to win. I think the viral clip of Kalen dislocating his finger, doing an aerial, and then just saying "doink," let me get back to work. And then even Julio, he had a limited role in there just because of the match format. But we got to expose all 4 of our rookies very early on to see what they were going to be, and they all panned out exactly how we knew they were, based off of Terry and Taylor doing their due diligence, researching into the person, making sure that, the person they were bringing in was going to be somebody who was, fits what the Aces are and stand for and build our teams around. And they showed, like I said, they showed their colors, and it was beautiful to see. It sucked we didn't get the outcome, but you got to see that because looking at like weeks 3 or matches 3 and 4, dude, they were some of our heavy hitters. By the end of the year, we were sending Taylor Sturgis did a ringer point, and Julio Delgado did a ringer point, and they both won. Like they both, and as a rookie to go in there and go from, I got dropped by a barbell in my first match to, I'm going out there and doing ringer points for my teams because in situations where we got to close, that does
Nothing fires me
wonders
up
for an athlete.
more. Yeah, nothing fires me up more than watching like someone work at something and then just go out when they're called upon and just crush it. Like,
Absolutely. Hell
that's
yeah.
awesome. You know, when you have such the league, the good thing about the expansion of the league is it's going to add more matches. But that may not be something that happens right away. There's going to take,
Yeah.
quite a bit of expansion for that to happen. But when you only have a limited number of regular season matches, when you come out of the gates and you stumble in that first match, it makes it very, very difficult to
Yeah,
get out
absolutely.
of, because now you're talking about having point differential, making or breaking you. And it's very hard to win. We'll talk about it once we get to the playoff part of this, but it's very hard to have to know that you got to beat someone by like 5 points or 7
Absolutely.
points, or you can't lose by more than 3 points. And like it's very strategically, it falls on the coaches to make sure like you're doing things
Yeah.
right. But ultimately, like that's tough. That's a tough ask. And you guys have the opportunities to dig yourself out of, and you get a chance to go to Vegas. Well,
Mhm.
we all know at this point Vegas didn't pan out the way that we were all
No.
hoping to, but the league did a good job of making the matches meaningful, and did a good job creating that super team. And at the end of it, it was a good showing, and it was a good look for the league. It was an event and an avenue that brought more eyes to the sport. But it also gave, when I look at it, it gave, you in particular, a chance to compete with other players from other teams and give you just a different mindset, a different taste, and, just kind of like see what it's like to know like what other people are going through, and what their challenges are. And then just another set of eyes and ears, and someone to talk to outside of the aces community. When you look back at the Vegas matches, what was your big takeaway from it?
Well, first off, I tip my cap to Ruby and Mather and everybody else who came together collectively for doing that. Because man, I've definitely had some plans that have gone awry before and had to think on the fly, but they did it to the utmost perfect everything. So I tip my cap to them. And I would say biggest takeaway is the resiliency. Whenever you get people who are passionate about something, it's literally there was an act of God in a hurricane that came, that essentially put us in a chokehold, and even through that, they were passionate about what they do, and the players were passionate about what the sport is, and all the staff are passionate about how important grit is and what they what they believe it can be. So just seeing the resiliency of the league, it gives you a really good feeling moving forward of like, this is something that it means a lot to people, and people are going to put their everything into, and seeing that, it's in good hands. And so it makes you want to invest in it that much more. So yeah, I would definitely say the overall theme of that I took away from that would be just the resiliency of it. um
Yeah.
from a personal, like, going through it. Yeah, dude, it was a blast. It was a blast just to see what it's like, because I mean, Most of the teams are still based in Florida. I know a lot of those guys, some of them share gyms with each other. Some of them travel and they do, it's nothing. It's like, oh, hey, I'm going to pop in Saturday. You want to get a workout in. I'm in the middle of nowhere, dude. I see these people for like, when we're doing matches, we get in there, we get in Friday midday. I'm there Saturday. We leave Sunday morning. So I'm seeing these people for 24, 36 hours at a time. And Vegas offered an opportunity to really be able to kind of like share time with them, build camaraderie, be with the boys in the locker room, doing the stupid stuff, laughing at back and forth, and then you get into the whole talking with all the other athletes, like, yo, hey, recovery. What are you doing? What is your training like? So you get to start getting the exchange of information, just talking back and forth with people on your team. So it was a huge like growing moment for me, and just being around these people and getting to experience what the true like great community is like. Just because I don't, like I said, I don't have that kind of commodity of being in Florida where I can readily just go to whoever. So yeah, takeaway from Vegas was I came out of there feeling really good about it. Not only from like a player in the league standpoint, but I guess as an athlete amongst athletes standpoint as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys made the best of it. It sounds like you guys had a good time. You put on a show. You had a good showing. You know, did you get a chance to partake afterwards in Vegas?
No, dude, it was I took a picture of a beer that I was having. We got done. I think we ran the second to last match, and we finished up at like 1:30. And my flight back home was booked for 7 p.m. So it
Oh
was
man.
like it was like 4:30. I took a picture in the airport with a beer that we were having while we were eating some food before we hopped on the flight, and I sent it to our team group, and I said, "Hey guys, I'm not going to be there." I said, "But here's a celebration beer for the hard work that we just put in over this weekend on making this happen." Um, you know, and told them I wish I could be there to enjoy it with them, but like I said, don't let me down.
I'm interested to know now that you said it. When Ryan goes and he's had a long day, he has a nice celebratory beer. What's your beer choice?
Guinness,
Guinness.
Guinness.
Wow.
Yep.
Nice. Two. I mean, here's the thing about Guinness. All right. I'm not I'm not a fan of Guinness. So like it's not
Okay.
something where I'm gonna go and oh, I can't wait to have a Guinness.
Right.
But like St. Patty's Day, like traditional days where you're gonna have a nice Irish stout, like
Mm-hmm.
okay, I can feel you on that. Here's the one thing I don't like about Guinness is if you're strapped for time, it
Mm-hmm.
takes 2 minutes to pour this beer and get
Yeah.
it right.
Yep.
So if you're really thirsty, maybe not the right route,
Yeah,
but,
definitely not a
um
grab and go, not a garage fridge beer. But definitely one at the end of a long day. You sit down, you pull out the chilled glass, and you make that pour, and you let it sit, and you can see it, and you're just like, it's like peeking through the little window in the oven when you're making a pie or you make a really good lasagna. You're just watching it, and you're like, that that first bite, that first sip is going to be extra crispy, and you just can't wait for it.
it's, that should be like, how they have, like, these brackets for different things, like, what's your best, first taste? Is it, bracket? Would it be like a
Yeah.
nice warm apple pie taste,
Hmm.
fresh out the oven, chocolate chip cookies? Is it a Irish, like a nice Guinness? Like
Yeah,
what?
that would be a good one to put together.
Maybe I'll do that
Yeah.
over the weekend. I might
Food edition. There
research
you
some
go.
stuff and put it
Steak.
out there.
First time
Ooh,
steak,
if you get a
barbecue
steak
chicken.
with a little bit of butter and like
Uh-huh.
that thyme and rosemary sitting across the top
You
of,
got it. There you
come on,
go.
bro, man, that's
There
a
you go.
whole.
So you put together a poll. Hey guys, let me see
Here we go.
who what. Give me some good foods, and then just take the top like 20 recommended food items and just let them have at it.
Man, that would be. I like it. I'm going there. I'm gonna
There
do
you
it. I'm
go.
gonna do some
Hell
research.
yeah.
I'll tag you on it when it's ready.
Bet.
Um, you guys obviously Vegas comes and goes. You get back and you got to kind of see how things are going to shake out moving
Right.
forward. And the way that it works out is the playoffs are going to coincide with the end of two regular season matches that didn't get a chance to happen in Vegas. You guys and the Lions being
Right.
one of those matches. And of the two matches, it was you guys and the Lions and the Brigade and the Palms, and both had playoff implications, but not more, important than yours because yours basically, if you win, like you're
Right.
in. And
Yeah.
so, like, that's what I want. I don't want to have the point differential and have to worry too much about that. I just want to know whatever we win by, if we win, we're in. I can control that. Like, give me that narrative, and that's what I want to sit with. So you guys just needed to win, and you were in.
Yep.
You take care of business. Pretty smooth match against the Lions. Some things happen like on a technicality standpoint, but you end up moving into a playoff spot.
Yep.
You get the what is it, the number 3 spot, and that came down to, I think, point differential, but you end up getting the 3 spot. You take on the Atlanta Wild in the first round.
Right.
So when you get the Wild, is that excitement because that's not the number 1 seed, or is that like, oh shit, like we just had a match, the Wild didn't, and now here we are the next day, possibly if we win this one, having to go again today. So, what's the thought going into the playoffs against the Wild?
If I were to compare it like sports wise, it would be, the Baltimore Ravens getting the Pittsburgh Steelers in a playoff game. Like
Oh
we had
wait,
played them
we get
twice.
that. We get
Yeah,
that.
right. Exactly. So like we had played them twice already that year. We played them once at our home match in Tampa, and then we played them again as the super team in Vegas. So we had, and I say we had of the 15 people that were on that super team, 8 of them were the Orlando Aces. So for the most part, our team got to experience another match against them. So it was one of those ones where, like, hey, we play these guys twice. We're very familiar with them. We know where their strengths are. We know where we're gonna have our, kind of our, we're gonna know where the battles are. We're gonna know where the make or breaks are. But that also being said, we also understand how good and talented of a team they are. So it was it wasn't one of those ones where like, oh, I know these guys forward and backwards, it's going to be a cake. It was the relief of like, okay, hey, we know what we're up against. We know but we also know that it's a big one. We know the juggernaut that we're up against. We know it well, but it doesn't take away from it being a beast of a challenge, anyways. And so I was looking forward to it. The number 1 seed didn't, it wasn't the number 1 seed. That didn't really bother me. I knew I wanted to play the Sharks again just because I'm a competitive guy. I wanted to get
Well,
my
you
get
want a
back.
redemption. You
Exactly. I
want
wanted to run the ones back and see, hey, like, hey, at the beginning you got me, but now we're gonna see how it folds out. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But I know for me, like me personally, um, it was just like cool. Like I knew what the job was. Everybody going into it knew that, hey, we're gonna play on Friday, or we're gonna play on Saturday, whatever it was, and then we're gonna play a doubleheader on Sunday. Like we knew that we play obviously play Saturday to get in,
right.
but understand that every team, you're always going to want your players to believe that you're going to win. So hey, when we win, and that's no discredit to the Lions, they're an amazing team, but just having that mindset because you got to mentally get ready. When we win, there's still 2 more in the way. So don't get it twisted. Like it's not going to be this isn't going to be a cakewalk. This is going to take everything from everybody. And I think everybody on our team knew that, and we were locked in and ready to go. Hell, you could have been like, hey, we're going to play again and again, and we're going to play one more after that just to make sure. It may have been, we may have been held together by duct tape, but we would have gone out there and we'd have given our damn best to win that, because we were confident. We knew that we had the ability to be in the championship again, and we wanted it.
Yeah, it's definitely a test of your training overall. So, like, if you're someone who's not training with intensity, and I say intensity, it doesn't have to necessarily be like CrossFit's version of intensity, but like a lot of like very much focused effort on your training, like you're going to get into a day like that where you might win that first match, you're going to come back again and you're not going to have it just because on a typical day-to-day basis you're not putting what you need to put into it.
Right.
And then it also comes down to how quick can you recover, because after I do 10 front squats of any weight, not to mention like what you guys do, like I don't want to do anything else. So like you guys are having to roll right into the next
Yeah.
race and then do something else. I can only imagine doing 11 races and then turn around having to do 11 more and then
It's
possibly turn around and doing 11 more.
right. It's definitely it's a tall task. It's one of those ones where it can be made better or worse just from the mental standpoint. But we also have that's one another great thing that I love about the league is the fact that they've continued to grow, and so like a lot of teams now have a physio. Our physio, shout out Melissa, she literally kept us together. Worked not only with in-person athletes but worked with remote athletes. Carved out time for her schedule to make Zoom call meetings. So whenever we're banged up, she's figuring out times in her schedule to get with us to be like, hey, let's get you right. Giving us the therapy exercises, giving us real time feedback. So it like I said, it's definitely helped mitigate the overall kind of wear and tear with having that. Like I said, and that was a huge blessing. And then just having a bunch of really good seasoned athletes. I mean, I know in the especially for CrossFit, once you get past that the 30 marker, the recovery element becomes just as important as the working out element to make sure that you keep everything rolling.
Just wait till you get to the 40 mark, Ryan. Like then it becomes even more.
Yeah,
So
I can imagine. I can imagine.
it takes me literally like I have to, thankfully I got a dog, all right? And I'm a
Mhm.
dog person. I've always had dogs, but
Absolutely.
we went a couple years without a dog and I got a golden retriever. So once I got her, I was like making it a point. We're going to run every day that I work out. So every morning that I wake up at 5 in the morning, every morning we go for at least 20 minutes. And
Okay.
that's my warm up. And it takes every bit of that to get warm. But then once I come back into the garage and I'm like, all right, now it's time to throw a Metcon together or work on some barbell stuff. It takes me even longer to get like it's a never ending process of feeling like you're warmed and primed to do anything. So
Right.
there's that. And maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just I need to do better. I need to prioritize my mobility or something. But yeah, that's the most difficult part, bro. You're definitely right there. Um, speaking of the end of 2024 season, you fall short. All right. No surprise there. We it's very hard to win, and it's very hard to win back to back, and you fell short. Did everything you
Yes.
could. Had a chance, I think, to get back in the match against the Wild with a ringer and a bonus flag, and you won
Mhm.
and brought it pretty close. I want to say it was like triple unders or something like that with
Yep. Yeah. My boy
Garen.
Dan Lasso. Yep.
Yeah. And you guys got it close. And then, all right, I was thinking, okay, well, now they just got to turn around and win this next one. And whatever it is, you fell short, and we could sit here and talk about how bitter of a taste it is and how it
Yeah.
leaves a chip on your shoulder. But I think we all know for a guy like you, like that's still on your mind, and it's still something like you aren't going to forget what that feels like. But that's the motivation for this next season. So
Right.
with that, that's what I want to get into. Um, what is the plan for Ryan DeMattie for 2025? Are we re-signing? Are we taking a break? Are we leaving? Are we going somewhere else? What's on the horizon?
No, I mean I'm locked in. I remember I remember the second we at the end of my first at the end of my first season when we won. I looked at Taylor and I told her, I said, all right, we got to run it back to just to prove that hey, this wasn't a fluke. Um, and I guess we didn't get it done this year, but hey, you win rock paper scissors best 2 out of 3. So I still have that itch, still have that chip of like, hey, we're gonna prove that what happened in 2022, or it wasn't a fluke. 2023, it wasn't a fluke. We're still the same team. We we fell short. We fell 1 point short of being able to go back and fight for that title again. But yeah, like I said, you'll see me out there in the orange and black again come 2025.
Let's go, man. That's impressive, dude. You're the trusted veteran these days. You're gonna be. What are we gonna do? We're gonna put a little C on your jersey. You gonna
Nah, man, I can't. Nah, the captain title, like I said, that's our boy Alex right there. He's like I said, he is the literal heart and soul. He is the epitome of what it means to be an Orlando Ace, to be a selfless, relentless player who's doesn't he doesn't shy away from a challenge, but yet he's also the same one who's going to make sure that if there's somebody that can do it better, that can make sure that we win, he's going to let them have the spotlight before himself so that we can, get the dub. And that's going to be our captain. I am looking forward to, I guess not being a rookie or, I guess a second year player, of having, a couple years under my belt and being a little bit more prominent in the leadership role amongst the team hierarchy. But again, we've still got several 4 or 5 year veterans there, and not only myself, but I look at Janine Nicole, who came in with my rookie class. She's in year 3 now and has grown exponentially as a player. So yeah, I think I'm looking forward to it. I definitely, like I said, not the C just yet. That's it would be an honor to at some point down the line. But yeah, like I said, my boy Alex still holds that, and I'm happy to have him as my captain.
Absolutely. So I gotta, the last thing I'll ask you, we got to revisit it because I talked about it in the open.
Go ahead.
I saw a video. You hit a projected max of 560, no problem. You turn around in another video right after that, same squat session, you hit a back squat of 585.
Right.
And then you missed one. You hit the hole on 600, and you could tell it was tough, and you couldn't bounce out of it. So you missed 600. All right, that was in 2020, I think. What's the back squat now? Are we shooting for 600? Have we made 600, or is that just something?
No. I would say no. Still to this day, haven't gone back up to 600. I think looking back then, I was a little bit more, I guess, you could say more of a power lifter mentality. It was all about strengths. I could do I could get up there, get close to 600 or so for a rep or two. But if you asked me to do anything more than like 5 reps, I was out of breath. Ooh, boy, I was out of shape.
I mean, heavy back squats at what people may not realize is heavy back squats for volume, or even back squats in general for volume, is like cardio city. Like,
absolutely.
It is unreal. If you've never done like a 20 rep max back squat, you should try it. Try it for fun.
Yeah, I think like I said, probably not a 600-pound back squat. I think I'm gonna swap that out for the alternative, which I seem to have it seems to be sticking to me so far. But the 500-pound yoke carry, I think that's the new 600-pound back squat for me. So you'll definitely see me hoisting a quarter ton of fun on my shoulders and running with it. More likely than you'll see a 600-pound back squat.
I would crumble. And the worst part about heavy yoke carries, it has nothing to do with the weight. It's when you drop it and then you realize on the back of your neck where you were running with that thing, it's just shredded. So
you get done and you take that first breath and you're like, whoo, I feel a little light.
Yep. You gotta hit a knee real quick and bring yourself closer to the earth.
Right.
But man, I appreciate your time. I look forward to following you on the 2025 season, man. Aces up, brother. Hope you guys have a magical season. Anything you want to plug or promote before you get out of here?
Nah, man, just what we're talking about, dude. Check out the grid. Check out, like I said, follow the Orlando Aces. Phenomenal organization, both the Aces and the Grid League. So, but other than that, no, man, I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate you helping us grow the sport and spreading the word. And like I said, hopefully we'll continue to see more of these coming.
That's right, baby. I got a full slate. But
love it.
I want to thank Ryan DeMattie for joining us of the Orlando Aces. Not to mention 2024 All-Star for the United Grid League. What a season they had. Another, big season on the horizon for them. If you like hearing Ryan's story or you just like hearing us average Joes talk X's and O's, please share the podcast on Facebook, retweet us on X, listen and subscribe wherever you stream your podcast. Head over to YouTube. Click like, click subscribe, click notifications. That way, when this episode and all the other episodes are uploaded in the future, you'll be the first to know. Go check out the library, the catalog of shows. There's a ton. Over 504 guests have been on the In Off the Bench podcast. 3 seasons of gymnastics, 3 seasons of baseball, 5 total years of just content there. So check it out. And we'll see everybody back next week. I got a big grid and grind schedule for next week. Eric Cardona, Fort Lauderdale Lions on Monday. On Tuesday, Griffin Raleigh of the Atlanta Wild. On Thursday, Chelsea Ranieri of the Southwest Florida Sharks. And on Friday, Reese Lyons of the Palm Beach Breakers. This has been the In Off the Bench Grid and Grind Show. As always, remember, strong body, sharp minds, grid and grind all the time. We are out.